Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on back to another episode of the Speak the Truth podcast. Host Matt Tordio. Elon Musk, Israel, Russia, and believe it or not, Ukraine all ended up dropping bombs today. Probably some of the biggest ones coming out of Elon. We're going to go over everything that man ended up saying. It is absolutely ridiculous when I take a look at what that man actually ended up putting out. I couldn't believe it myself. I about crapped my pants. And in the meantime, as everybody's waiting on rolling in here, first we're going to take a look at live feed from over in, well, not a live feed, previous airstrike that ended up taking place over in Beirut. Did I hear somebody say raise hail and praise Dale? Did I see that down in the chat? I believe I did. Look, as we're waiting on people to get in here, and before we end up showing all the Elon videos, I've got another one showing everything that he ended up saying. I got another random Elon video that you have to see before we actually get into what was said in the fire exchange that took place between him and Trump today, because the crap is out of control.
This is what victory feels like. Yeah. This. You know, there are elections that come and go. Some elections are, you know, important. Some are not. But this one, this one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, well, we got to love Elon Musk and everything that he went about doing today. Let's just go ahead and dive right into that. Dear God. So Elon ended up putting this out earlier, and I mean, it's literally at the point where I just got to show the Twitter feed of what exactly Elon ended up saying. I am the spy. You are no spy. Check this out. Elon ends up saying, time to drop the really big bomb. Real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, Donald J. Trump. Now, why, oh, why would Elon end up coming out and saying that? Well, I think I actually figured it out. I was pouring through his feed for like about an hour, looking over all of the different things that Elon ended up saying, and I believe I actually have an answer for you on that. Now, here's the catch. If what Elon actually said here is true, Donald Trump needs to be impeached immediately. Like if Donald Trump was hiding the Epstein files because his name was in there, it needs to be impeached. And it's not like we are unaware that Donald Trump and Epstein used to hang out. That's a thing, right? Donald Trump, I think like the quote that got put out by him was like, he said Epstein was a great guy and he liked the young ones and he liked his women and everything else, right? But if Donald Trump is hiding that crap, that's insane. That is not okay. Like, those Epstein files need to be released. Like, you don't get to play around with child molesters. You don't get to hide that stuff because you think that it might make you look bad. So he needs to get his freaking crap under fire. Now, he says it's time to drop that big bomb. Well, let's just take a look. Here is a 1992 party. Like I said, it is not unheard of that these two end up hanging out. As a matter of fact, this is like one of the videos that Elon ended up sharing today.
Of a Mar-a-Lago party shows Trump giving Epstein his personal attention. The footage, shot in November of 1992, before Trump opened the resort as a club, shows the future president surrounded by cheerleaders for the Buffalo Bills and Miami Dolphins.
These are not underage girls, but clearly the man was partying with Epstein. Like, let's be real. Like, it is very clear, very apparent that that's who he is partying with. You guys really think he's not? Seriously? No, I think what Elon stated was serious. I think Elon worded it in a way in which it's going to allow him to get away with not getting sued by Trump. I mean, just because he's in the Epstein files doesn't mean he was on the flight logs going over to Epstein Island. Doesn't mean that he took part in any of the child molesting activities or anything of that nature. And the way Elon stated it, and you're going to see why here in a minute, is because Elon, in Matt's opinion, believes that, no, I think Elon lost it because Donald Trump lied. That's what I think. And Elon is 1,000% claiming that Donald Trump lied.
Capturing Trump's fun-loving bachelor lifestyle for an appearance on Faith Daniels' NBC talk show.
We're going to get great.
Oh, I love it. Somebody commented it's because Elon lost $100 billion when Trump did that EV bill. Oh, wait, buddy, I got something for you because I knew that was going to pop up. So you just wait.
Ratings in your show.
We're going to dispel
Trump
that here in a
is
sec.
surrounded by women as music blares in the background. After a while, Trump goes to greet 3 new guests. Among them, the financier Jeffrey Epstein.
Come on in. Go inside.
More than a decade before his guilty plea on state prostitution charges. Later in the footage, Trump is seen talking to Epstein and another man as women are dancing in front of them. Trump alternates between dancing and pointing out women to Epstein and the other man and telling Epstein about the cameras. Though exactly what they say is difficult to understand as they discuss the women and their appearances, Trump gestures to one and appears to say to Epstein, "Look at her back there. She's hot." And then Trump says something else into Epstein's ear that makes him double over with laughter. But as the president said,
Wow, dude. Okay, so yeah. Clearly Elon's not happy. Now, some of you guys were saying that the reason that this happened, like I said, was that, Elon is a little bit upset because of EV cuts and stuff like that. That's not true. As a matter of fact, I've got historical evidence to actually prove that's right. Let's go ahead and take a look at a quote of Donald Trump. Epstein likes to tell people that he's a loner, a man who's never touched alcohol or drugs, and one whose nightlife is far from energetic. And yet, if you talk to Donald Trump, a different Epstein emerges. Quote, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy." Trump booms from a speakerphone. "He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it. Jeffrey enjoys his social life." So if what Trump is saying there, like he had some knowledge of this stuff going on, is one thing, but I don't know if that's actually going to amount all the way up to something where we just need to fry Donald Trump on this. Now, somebody ended up saying that Donald Trump needs to get impeached. Elon ends up coming out screaming, absolutely, it needs to happen, and everything else. Yep. And here you go. Time to drop the really big bomb. And here's the next part. Mark this post for the future. The truth will come out. And so here's the next thing. Is Elon is not just stating that that's happening. He's saying, no, like it is 1000% for sure going to happen. And that comment that's right down there in the chat right now that says, show the files, is the exact reason why I personally, I think that this ended up getting put out. I think Elon wants to see those dang files. He wants other people to see the files. And I think maybe possibly Donald Trump is worried about like the limelight that goes into it. But truthfully, I think that this is the entire reason. Personally, I think that this is the entire reason that these two are feuding, going back and forth. I'm about to show you. Now, it was just a couple days ago that Elon ended up leaving Doge and all that other crap and leaving the government so he could go focus on his other companies, right? That's what they ended up saying. But this ended up getting put out not that long ago. 11:25 a.m. Elon ends up putting out false. This bill was never shown to me even once and was passed in the dead of night. So fast that almost no one in Congress could even get it. Now, if you guys have been paying attention, all right, to what's been going on with this, Elon has been very outspoken about the big, beautiful bill. And truthfully, I haven't even looked that much into it. People are saying it's going to add $3.5 trillion to the national debt, but there's a lot of people that are standing up saying, no, it's going to end up subtracting from it. And Elon's saying, no, you don't get rid of, you don't take away from the debt by spending money. It doesn't work that way. Jacob Natterstead, this has been out since before the election, but it was heavily suppressed. You are correct. What I showed had been heavily suppressed. Now listen, though, because what Trump is about to say, Elon says is false. Elon says that Trump just lied to the American people about this. And again, Elon was running Doge.
But if they picked him, I would have won Pennsylvania. I won it by a lot. But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem. And he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate, because that's billions and billions of dollars. And it really is unfair. We want to have cars of all types. Electric, we want to have electric, but we want to have a gasoline, combustion. We want to have different. We want to have hybrids. We want to have we want to be able to sell everything. And when that was cut, and Congress wanted to cut it, he became a little bit different. And I can understand that. But he knew every aspect of this bill. He knew it better than almost anybody. And he never had a problem until right after he left. And if you saw the...
So he says that he saw the bill, he knew it better than everybody, and he never had a problem with it. I want to thank Aaron Mejia for coming in, gifting out 5 Speak the Truth memberships. Greatly appreciate you, friend. Thank you very much. Guys, just blessing the chat today. Absolutely love it. Now, do we think that's true? Because Elon Musk actually gave out good supporting evidence that the EVs had nothing to do with it. He didn't give 2 craps about the EVs. And truthfully, he's got a history of it. I'm going to show you that here in just a sec.
Statements he made about me, which I'm sure you can get very easily. It's very fresh on tape. He said the most beautiful things about me. And he hasn't said bad about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next. But I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
Mr. President, did he... I just want to...
Okay, so he's disappointed in Elon because he's helped Elon a lot. Well, Elon attests that the only reason Trump ended up getting elected is because of him. That's what he says. Now, Donald Trump also said this today. He said the easiest way to save money in our budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's government subsidies and contracts. I was always surprised that Biden didn't do it. Elon ends up responding back with, and this is where it gets crazy, in light of the president's statement about cancellation of my government contracts, SpaceX will begin decommissioning its Dragon spacecraft immediately. Now, somebody sent me a big write-up on exactly what Elon's contracts being canceled would actually do to national security. I had no idea how big of a role he actually plays in our national security. It's huge. It's massive. And when you start talking about the Space Force and everything else, they're going to have to be jumping through hoops if that ends up being true. And we're going to go over that as well. Tom Bones comes in, gifting out 5 additional Speak the Truth memberships. Thank you, Tommy. Greatly appreciate it, friend. Now, this is Elon all the way back in 2021. What I'm about to show you is Elon Musk all the way back in 2021. Tom Bones says it's payday. Boom, throws up the 2. Elon Musk back in 2021. Whoever it was that said that the reason Elon was so pissed off and that he's going off is because of the EV cuts. Here we go. Let's go back 4 years.
We don't need the $7,500 tax credit. I would say, honestly, I would just can this whole bill. Don't pass it. That's my recommendation.
What about the support though for the charging network? I mean, there are parts of this bill and no.
No, I mean, do we need support for gas stations? We don't. So there's no need for this for support for a charging network. I would delete it. Delete.
Okay, all right.
I'm literally saying get rid of all subsidies, but also for oil and gas. We don't need the $7,500 tax credit. I would say, honestly, I would just can this whole bill. Don't pass it. That's my recommendation.
What about the support though for the charging network? I mean, there are parts of
do we get it now? Like, Elon didn't give 2 shits about EV credits. He actually wanted all the way back in 2021 for them to be cut. And so those that are saying that the reason Elon is so ticked off is because Trump brings up cutting the tax credits on electric vehicles, that's not true. It's not. Musk has been saying for a very long time that he wants those tax credits to go away. He thinks it's a waste. Sun Wukong coming in. He says, I think Elon's disappointed. Oh, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. He says, I think Elon's disappointed that he didn't get any butt in the White House. Tizim's kicking in. Seriously, though, he's an idealist. I think POTUS is more pragmatic. This wasn't made to last. Red meat, anyone? Dude, yeah, I mean, the big issue here is that, personally, I think what Elon is he's looking at it like, and you say what you want about the guy. He might have a bunch of kids that what I heard is he's trying to repopulate Mars with all of these children, or I'm sorry, not repopulate, but populate Mars. So he's trying to build like a little army to send them up to, I don't know, man. I don't care. I don't look into these people's lives that much. But what I do know is that his children are not illegitimate. I do know that he has gone out and impregnated a bunch of women and that he's ended up having kids, but he ends up paying for them and taking care of them and everything else. And so he's at least very honest and open about that lifestyle and the different things that he does. He's been very honest about a lot of things. And so when he says that Trump is on the Epstein list, I think we've got to actually take a look at that. Now, this man ended up running Doge. He ended up looking into a bunch of national security secrets and all sorts of crap. CNN's in the chat, huh? No, I don't even know if CNN is in the chat. You can say it's stupidity all you want, but you're talking about a man that literally had access to a buttload of government files not that long ago. And people have been calling and asking, where is the Epstein list? And it seems like the White House has been stalling on it. And Elon just dropped a massive bomb saying that Trump was on it. You got to understand the implications of that. If that's not true, the massive lawsuit that would end up coming out, Trump would own X. He would own Twitter if that was a lie. So I highly doubt that he's lying about it. There's strong evidence to suggest that he would be a part of the Epstein files. I don't think he might be part of the flight logs. I don't know. If he is a part of the flight logs, well, that's a whole other can of worms to open up now, isn't it? But it's just like saying Israel was part, named inside of the, the JFK files. Just because it says Israel doesn't mean that they ended up killing JFK. Attention, coming in. He says, I thought I heard something about charging EV owner annually for road tax. I know that's going on here in Texas. 100%. Texas has a special tax just for EVs because you're not paying the fuel tax. Christian says, regardless of what you think of either of them, this is embarrassing. Now, Christian, that is something that I agree with you 110% about. We have mom and dad fighting on social media. This is something that our country doesn't need right now. I talked about bombs being dropped on Beirut and Russia bombing the crap out of Ukraine, and Ukraine also answering back over inside of Russia yet again. And oh, by the way, Iran's laughing at us because they're still enriching uranium. And meanwhile, our president ends up getting named by Elon Musk as being part of the Epstein files. That's not a good look for this country as we're trying to get things done. From Texas to taxes. Yeah, that's a thing. Why would Elon be scared to get sued? Elon wouldn't be scared to get sued. I don't think he would at all, but it'd be really embarrassing if Trump ended up taking X from him, right? Something of that nature. God only knows what dollar amount would go into it. It'd be a massive freaking nut roll. Massive nut roll that would go into it. But if Trump is legitimately in the Epstein files, that is something that people want to know. Yvonne comes in, gifting out 5 Speak the Truth memberships. Thank you, Yvonne. Greatly appreciate it. Here's the next thing, is he said the reason they haven't been released is because Trump's in there. That's huge. That's alleging that Trump is suppressing the Epstein files for himself to keep his image up. And if that's true, that's a problem. Now, the problem is Elon's not a freaking idiot. Elon needs to figure that out. He knows that if that's not true, and if he's not holding on to evidence of that after he left, that he's open to a massive lawsuit. So I would assume that Elon Musk, before making that carefully articulated tweet that he put out, has evidence that Trump is in fact in the Epstein files, but more so that they haven't been released because Trump has been suppressing it. Now, if that's true, that is a real problem, and that makes sense why there'd be calls for impeachment and everything else. Again, Donald Trump, Elon was wearing thin. I asked him to leave. I took away his EV mandate that forced everybody to buy electric cars that nobody else wanted. That he knew for months I was going to do, and he just went crazy. Good thing for community notes over on Twitter, because when we close that sucker out and we look at it, Elon says such an obvious lie, so sad. And the amount of user notes that ended up going into it are absolutely ridiculous. And you can go click on all of these things, and I have gone through a lot of these, and it ends up basically showing that he's always been in favor of ending the electric vehicle tax credits. And so Donald Trump is trying to come out with an excuse for why Elon would have lost his crap. But it would seem that the only excuse that Elon has for it is because, number one, he's not a fan of the big, beautiful bill, and that Trump ended up, according to Elon, lying about him being in favor of it, knowing it inside and out, and all of those other portions of it that Elon says are a lie. Elon says that that's not true. He never saw that bill. And yet Trump says that he was very intimately familiar and tried to get support through Elon because he knows Elon's popular in that realm. He's popular with a lot of Republicans that are happy with all of these freaking cuts. Oh my goodness, man. It's getting so ridiculous. What I really think it boils down to for Elon is the amount of money that's being spent. He's sick and he's tired of it. He's even stated that he wants the best for the country, and he doesn't think that all of this money spending is going to make it any better. Sun Wukong says Trump couldn't use it in a lawsuit if it was meant to be a joke. Defamation is hard to prove. On bills Elon knows we can't survive cutting mandatory spending. Trump knows GOP won't survive if he did. That's just not it, though. It is not how Elon meant it to be. It is how it is being perceived. Right? It goes by the reasonable person standard. If reasonable people look at it and say, yep, that's a joke, then we can all laugh about it. But it wasn't posted as a joke. It didn't even remotely resemble a joke. As a matter of fact, we can go look at Elon's responses to that. It wasn't a joke. He didn't put it out as a joke, and most people are not even perceiving it as a joke. So I highly doubt that he's going to get away with it if it's not true. But I think that for Elon to make that statement, that absolutely he's got proof of it. Castle Survival says if Elon loses X, he's basically lost influence over one of the largest social medias. X would be worse than it was before Elon bought it, in my opinion. I would agree with you on that statement. I don't think he's going to lose it, though. Elon's not an idiot. He's mildly autistic. Dude's definitely got ADHD. Like, this dude's got like all of the superpowers of the world at his disposal. I think he's thought through that statement before he ended up putting it out. It's not a joke. I'm fairly convinced after all of the diving that I've done into this over the last like 2 hours that Elon's dead ass serious, that he's got proof somewhere that Trump took part in the Epstein files. Now, the thing is, if Elon's house ends up getting raided, kind of like everybody was complaining about Mar-a-Lago and things of that nature, then this is going to be a big deal. It's going to be a big deal. What happens if Elon ended up taking classified material away from his job? Remember, the man ended up having a security clearance and all that other crap. And then the feds end up pulling boxes out of his house and bringing them back. That is going to be one of the biggest scandals of all time. I would highly doubt it. I would be extremely shocked if Trump didn't get impeached over that. That's a lot of speculation. You're absolutely right. No, I'm not shocked about him being in the files. Like I said, to me, it's about the equivalent of, how do I want to say this? It's about the equivalent of saying Israel was in the JFK files, or that they mentioned Israel in the JFK files. Who cares if it is mentioned? That's not the big story. I expected Trump to be in the Epstein files. I expected his name to be in there because he used to hang out with the guy. He's known him, like, as Trump said, for 15 years when that statement came out. He knew him for a very long time. It would be really odd if Trump wasn't in the Epstein files. But the shocking part is when Elon said that the reason they haven't been released is because of that, alleging that it was being suppressed because Trump was in them, i.e. it was an executive order that ended up saying, no, we are not releasing these yet. And we can go back and we can listen to statements from Pam Bondi about why they hadn't been released and other things that needed to get redacted. That's a serious issue. You know, I might be happy, like, with his stance when it comes to radical Islam and several other things in this world. But one thing I won't tolerate is pedophiles, man. I won't do it. And if that's how it ends up coming out, I'm going to be one of the most outspoken people about this, and I'm always going to bring you the truth. You guys know me. I got a bunch of people that were flicking me crap over the last 5-6 months when I started talking about his policies versus Kamala Harris's policies when it came to Israel, when it came to Ukraine, when it came to the world as a whole, when it came to un-effing our country and getting it back on track. And I've been one of the stronger supporters, even when we sat with Zelensky with J.D. Vance, and they ended up reaming him a new butthole in the White House. I sat back and I told you guys, just wait, see what happens. I did. But I won't stand by when it comes to pedophilia. Hell no. And nobody else should in this world either. I don't care what side of the aisle you end up landing on. I don't care where it goes. If the evidence ends up leading down the hole that Trump ended up suppressing the Epstein files because he was named in it and he looks guilty of sin, especially, that man needs to be impeached. Period. End of discussion. Mike Hunt Smells coming in gifting us Speak the Truth membership. Mike Hunt, I haven't seen you in here in a while, buddy, and I hope that's your real name, Mike Hunt. And then you just added Smells at the end. But yeah, I don't care. I don't care who you are. I don't care what good you've done in the world. Pedophilia is not an excuse to get away with, like, I don't care. You don't get away with that crap. Like, we're talking about children. And I don't care if they're 16-year-old girls or 17 or what your view on that is. I could care less. The law is the law. And what Jeffrey Epstein was doing, and when you hear what some of these victims were saying about what was taking place on that island, how they ended up getting recruited, how they ended up getting suckered into all that crap, dude, it's not okay at all. Like, maybe I need to put a whole damn video together to show you guys how ridiculous it is. I almost did one for like last year and it was nuts, but absolutely not. If what Elon said is true, that is bigger than Watergate, in my opinion. That is bigger than freaking Russiagate. That is bigger than Signalgate. That is bigger than all of this other crap going on. Because that means we have a president in the White House that is, in fact, a pedophile and was using his official position to hide that. Right? Like, that's bigger. I don't know if you guys remember this, but Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky, that was a huge deal. This is 10 times bigger than that. Rhino coming in $4.99. Melania is fighting against trafficking and was involved. So I don't think she would be with Trump if he was involved. What makes you think Melania would know? What makes you think Melania would know? Rhino? Wait, what says German Prime Minister told Trump the truth in public about Ukraine and Russia. Trump will retaliate now. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see what Trump actually does, because I think Germany actually took part in what took place over this last weekend and also the strike on the Kerch Bridge. Jay Money, why didn't the Biden administration release Trump's name? It's a very good question. I think maybe they were under enough crap as it was, raiding Mar-a-Lago and several other locations, that was just something that they looked at and were like, this is not going to go over well, and that the truth will eventually come to light. That is possible for why they ended up doing that. MT, Elon is lashing out like a spoiled child. He allowed Trump to be around his son. If he thought Trump was nefarious, says a lot about him as a parent. You're right. I would agree with you on that statement. I would never let my kid, if Michael Jackson was still alive, hang around freaking Michael Jackson. But what if Elon ended up allowing his kid around Trump, thinking Trump was a decent dude, and that the reason he ended up backing out is because he ended up coming across those Epstein files in all of his research and went, holy crap. He was like, I'm no longer going to be a part of this. I'm going to separate myself. And then Trump came out with the information about the big, beautiful bill, saying how much Elon loved it. Then Elon ends up coming out saying absolutely not. It is a waste of money and everything else. And now we're here. Angela, aside from Epstein, this incessant juvenile exchange on social media is unnecessary. For goodness sake, let us get our act together. We're on the verge of wars, and this is our current focus. Angela, you are correct. You are absolutely correct. Which is why we're about to transition into talking about Babe Ruth being bombed and several other things. And the issue is nobody even knew about the attack that was taking place on Ukraine today. Nobody even knew about the alleged Orsnik ballistic missile that ended up falling out of the sky over, I want to say it was Kyrgyzstan. Got that coming up in a sec, and people that are claiming that that's not true, and I'll show you why. We've got Beirut getting bombed yet again over in Dahia, excuse me. It's the same place where Nasrallah got killed. It is a Hezbollah stronghold, and there's a very strong possibility, because we've seen it in the past, where IRGC members have been killed in these airstrikes. That could open up another war. We could be drawn into that immediately, and the U.S. already diverted supplies from Ukraine to go into the Middle East in order to start shooting down drones. So it's a freaking problem. He met Melania at an Epstein party. Is that true, Meathead? Is that really true? Replace Bongino with Tardio? Dude, if you put me in that spot, heads would roll. Trust me on that one. Speaking of Monica Lewinsky, Lit did a GDP cross with her name. Yeah, well, ladies and gentlemen, let me put it this way. Time is going to tell what actually happened. There will be an investigation. Those men that are appointed right now to the FBI, like you said, Don Bongino, who's that other guy, Kash Patel, this is something they're going to dig into. They're not going to let that just float away. I do know that there is a huge problem with human trafficking in this world. I have seen it firsthand. I am tired of it. I've done my best to combat it in every way that I could, both in law enforcement and as a civilian. And I'm just over it. Matt, this morning was a hoot. Oh yeah, Linda. No, this morning was wild. We ended up doing what, like a 2-hour members only live session. I had a lot of fun with that. I couldn't believe it. Dan was neutered. No. Nope. Dan wasn't neutered at all. Not at all. Let's go listen. I believe this is going to be my last clip that I end up having on it. I could be wrong on it, but let's give this a listen.
I think that the
we've got this enormous federal budget deficit, and it's a $2 trillion deficit. It keeps growing. Our interest payments are higher than our Defense Department budget. That's I think was the real wake-up call for me, was looking at seeing that the interest payments on national debt exceeded the Defense Department budget, and that was only growing over time, which meant if we didn't do something about this, then there won't be any money for anything. We'll just be servicing debt.
And you know how to read an income statement, and you know how to read a balance sheet. You've had some business experience. I'm kidding, but
yeah,
you know about this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, really, I just don't want America to go bankrupt.
So it's a call to action. You're hearing a call to action.
Yeah.
You giving up your other stuff? I mean, how are you running your other businesses?
With great difficulty. Yeah, I mean.
But there's no turning back, you're saying?
I'm just here trying to make government more efficient, eliminate waste and fraud, and so far we're making good progress.
So far, they're making good progress. So Elon's motivation always has been not wanting the country to go bankrupt. He doesn't give a crap about the EV. That's a lie. He doesn't give a crap about anything. And I think when he looked at this, he got really upset about the spending bill, and he didn't want it to go because he legitimately cares about the country. And I wonder, part of me wonders if maybe there was some blackmail going on with this whole thing, and Elon was like, dude, don't do it. You know, you're going to screw this country over. And that's why he ended up backing out, and then ended up giving him a text message one day that was like, hey, bro, you do this shit, I'm going to end up dropping a bomb. Steve-O, I believe the plan was the big bloated bill first, then in following bill cuts to discretionary rather than big bill or mandatory or slated to be mandatory spending. Either way, if proven guilty, Chippy is hungry. Yeah, dude. Like, I am all about a log chipper for pedophiles. I am all about that. Put him in a wood chipper, call it a day. You know, the big, beautiful bill, that's beyond my scope. That's not my expertise. I can't sit here and give you an honest assessment as, you know, an economist or anything of that nature. That's not what I do. Right. But I can look at other people's reports. I can read through them. I really honestly don't give two craps. I think our country's screwed anyways. We're overspending trillions of dollars every single year. The amount of money that goes into paying off our debt would pay for the defense budget alone. Right. We can take care of a lot of these problems if we get our spending under control. But yeah, wood chipper tribe, 1000%. I am not about having pedophiles, particularly having pedophiles run this country, if that actually comes out to be true. Now, this is the alleged Oreshnik ballistic missile that Russia ended up firing. Uh-oh, nope. You guys aren't letting me move on yet. MT, I think Elon is lying about not knowing about the bill because the vast majority of it was already cemented. They probably hid the EV stuff from him, but seems Elon was helping for selfish reasons. If that's the case, and Elon was hiding all of the EV crap, like, why would he care? I mean, maybe you joined late, and that's okay. But I don't think Elon would give two shits, because I went back 4 years and found clips of him saying to end the EV tax credit. And it's not just once he's called for it, dude. There's multiple articles written on Elon wanting the EV tax credits cut, saying that they're stupid and that they don't belong. So I don't think that's the case. Now, when it comes down to it, like when we start talking about stuff, this is one of the things that I was pretty shocked about. Remember how I told you that, like, if all of the funding and stuff like that to SpaceX ends up getting cut, and Elon's coming out saying that's going to be a huge problem, and that he's going to start cutting things, it really is an issue when it comes to national security. This guy over here, I'm actually going to take this. I'm going to actually take this and put it in the chat so that you guys can read it at a later date, because I think it's very, very important for you guys to be able to read this information, be able to get it. This is coming from a guy, I always pronounce his name wrong, Dan Linnaeus. He does some really, really good in-depth frickin' dives into a lot of different stuff. I believe he was like prior intel or something of that nature, but he ends up outlining the impact that this is going to have. Like, if that actually goes through, here you go. I'm going to share this post with you guys so you can go read it. He ends up talking about the impact that this is going to end up having just on the Space Force alone. And that's a huge freaking problem in Matt's opinion. I pinned it up to the top of the chat so that you guys can read that. All right. So it should be in there now, pinned up at the top of the chat. Yeah, here he goes. He's talking right here. And he says, NASA's near-term human spaceflight post results on 2 pillars now in jeopardy. Dragon is the sole U.S. This is what Elon talked about cutting. Dragon is the sole U.S. crew vehicle in operation. Soyuz becomes the only fallback, recreating a pre-2020 single point for independency. Simultaneously, Artemis 3-4 landings hinge on SpaceX's $2.9 billion human landing system contract and its 2024 follow-on option for a second crew demonstration. Both are now politically vulnerable, given the Trump fiscal year 26 request already slashes NASA outlays by roughly 24% and directs funds to March forward technology. Program slippage past 2030 is probable. He does end up talking about the Space Force over here and how much that they're going to end up having to respond to this. And it's absolutely insane, the amount of crap that actually ends up coming out of it. It's just nuts. Like, the amount of hoop jumping from cutting this is going to be a really big problem. So I'm kind of curious to see how it goes. Remember, Elon is the one, after Trump got into office, that ended up going up and bailing out those astronauts, right? Like, this is a real thing. Like, if this stuff in his program ends up falling through, it's a very real issue. And then we go back to foreign dependency. So I don't think it's a good idea to cut it. I mean, maybe if you're going to cut it, give it back to NASA and force the government to actually do their damn job. Incog Faraday spends 5 Speak the Truth memberships on everybody. KB, you are absolutely correct. If he is suppressing those files, impeachment is not enough. That's why we're calling this the wood chipper crowd tonight. So if you're into that wood chipper, and I'm just, you know what, like, before I end up moving on and start talking about everything else, I'm just going to run a quick poll. Do you think, based on Elon's statement, Trump is hiding the Epstein files? I'm curious. It's just a real simple poll that I'm going to run real quick. Do you think, based on Elon's statement, that Trump is hiding the Epstein files? Sky God coming in, gifting out 20 Speak the Truth memberships. Thank you, sir. Good to see you, friend. Good to see you. 40% of you guys right now, this sucker's climbing really quick. Go over there and vote, ladies and gentlemen. There's 1,600 of you that are hanging out in here. I don't want to see just 100 or 200 votes. And by the way, while we're having this discussion, thanks, Sky God, for gifting out those 20. Thank everybody else for coming here, gifting out all those Speak the Truth memberships. Before we go on to everything else, do me a solid. If you haven't yet, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you end up sharing this channel. Make sure you guys end up turning on your notification bells. And if you would be so inclined, become a true supporter. It means the world to me. Keeps the channel running. And you guys get access to our badass Discord server. And after you get that, you go over to the posts on our YouTube homepage, and you'll see a brand new Discord link to get you up over into our server. Awesome community. Love you guys to death. Right now, we're coming in at about 60% are saying yes, with a little over 300 votes in that poll. So 60% of you guys, with over 1,600 of you guys saying it out in here tonight, are saying yes, 100%, he is hiding the Epstein files. 41% of you guys right now, it's fluctuating, it's going back and forth, you ladies and gentlemen. Keep voting, dang it, keep voting. They're all saying no. And it looks like we're going to maybe possibly level out here about 50-50, but dear God. Danny Golan coming in, gifting out Speak the Truth membership. Greatly appreciate you, Danny. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I think this is a problem. And I'll just let that run for a minute while I move into the next portion of the show. We're going to see. Ultimately, like, when I look at the facts and I look at how everything is laid out, I don't think Elon did this just because he's butthurt over EVs. Elon's been calling for those EV tax cuts for 4 years now. Wait, what? Says no one should ever be above the law in America or Putin's friend. I would agree with you on that. I don't think, again, as I sit here and tell you that if Donald Trump ended up doing that, he needs to go to the wood chipper. I can also sit back and say, I don't think Putin is his friend. There's actually a video that ended up coming out. I want to say it was yesterday. A video came out where it was something about, what was it? It was Trump. It was Trump stating something about Putin, that before we end up getting into all this other crap, Trump ended up stating, it wasn't this one.
But Putin actually said to me, if you're my...
Yeah, it was this one. It was this statement. This statement ended up getting taken out of context and misquoted a lot yesterday. This statement ended up getting misquoted a lot yesterday. I'm going to let it play for you guys, and I'm going to explain it.
Putin actually said to me, if you're my friend, I'd hate to see you as my enemy. He said that very strongly. But with all of that, I had a very good relationship with Putin. I had a very good relationship with President Xi, a very good relationship with Kim Jong-un of North Korea, lots of good relationships. And that's a positive thing. That's not a negative thing. But at the same time, I'm about our country. So that's why we're talking about tariffs. We'll be taking in trillions of dollars.
I want to get to the tariff.
Now, I don't think I heard that incorrectly.
Putin actually said to me, if you're my friend, I'd hate to see you as my enemy.
So that's Putin saying, if you are my friend, I'd hate to see you as my enemy. That's not Trump saying he thinks that we're friends. That's not any of that crap. But what that does say is that Putin and Trump are not on the best terms right now. That's like saying that if you don't like me now, you really wouldn't like me if we were enemies, right? Like, I get it. I get the optics of it. I get how people can take it and twist it. But what Trump is trying to convey is that at least they're on good terms right now. In the moment they're not on good terms, Putin wouldn't like to see that. So I don't think that's Trump sitting there trying to brag or say, like, I don't think that's what it kind of like made out to be. I don't think they're sitting back being friends. Now, again, this ended up taking place, let me make sure I get this right, over Kazakhstan. I did say Monica Lewinsky. It's Monica Lewinsky. Dear God, speaking live is one hell of a thing. Reports were that Russia ended up launching an Orshnik ballistic missile over towards Ukraine. Now, here's the catch. Ukraine also has been under a massive drone and cruise missile strike this evening. It's been getting hammered all across Ukraine. It's been getting flipping hammered. What people are saying is what I'm about to put up on the screen here is the actual Orshnik ballistic missile that is breaking apart over Kazakhstan. Now, this is a big deal because yesterday you ended up having one of his top generals like sitting there saying, hey, listen, we're ready to go and we're going to be able to strike everywhere. You want to hit Europe? We can smack the EU. Don't even worry about it. And it was rumored that these suckers ended up getting, spun up and getting ready to go in order to start slamming into Ukraine. That's what they were saying, that the Ukraine was about to get freaking slammed by these Orshniks because of the drone attack followed by the attack on the Kerch Bridge. Well, it would appear from this video like they're getting broken up. Now, here's why I do think that this was, in fact, heading over to Ukraine. Again, I'm just looking at the horizon. I'm looking at the lights and everything else. Sun rises in the east and sets in the west. If we were to go pull up a map, you're going to see where Kazakhstan sits and where Ukraine sits. Obviously, it would be being fired out over to the west. People are stating that they had geolocated these videos, know the exact location of where it was going, and it wasn't even traveling east-west. It was traveling like south to north or some crap like that. But I want you to watch this video again. I want you to watch the horizon and what you end up seeing on the horizon. Now, it could very well be that this is early morning. I'm not 100% sure on the exact timing, but to me, it would appear like they're traveling east to west. At 1000%, this is not how it's supposed to work. I see you down there, Mission on A. I see you. That's not how it's supposed to work. You and I both know that. That is it breaking up, falling back down and through the atmosphere. It's exactly what that is. Now, is it possible that it could be something else that ended up breaking apart? Sure. Is it possible that this might not be the Orshnik? Of course. Is it alleged that that's exactly what this is? Yes, it is. And that would be a problem for Russia because this would be the third time in the previous two times, rumored once in February and then once in May, that they were supposed to be firing one of these ballistic missiles off, and it failed. We ended up not seeing a launch. The launch didn't happen. And now that they're allegedly supposed to be launching ballistic missiles at Ukraine, this is what we end up seeing. So it would appear as if Russia is just kind of falling apart. This can all be a psyop. You're absolutely correct. It can 1000% be a psyop, but that is a pretty damn big psyop. Now, as all of that was happening, the same location that Ukraine wanted, Bryansk International Airport in Western Russia. ended up getting freaking smashed today by Ukraine. Looks like they ended up hitting a massive munitions depot. Watch this. Now, that is a pretty dang serious detonation to be taking place. Meanwhile, Russia has been slamming Ukraine with freaking drones, with ballistic missiles, with everything. Every major city across Ukraine was on alert. The actual alert map that ended up coming out was basically all of Ukraine. All of Ukraine. This is Kiev, allegedly, right? Allegedly, this is Kiev. Outskirts. Yep. That clip looks like it's definitely on the outskirts. But here's the thing. When you actually take a look at the middle of there and you see all of that fallout, that doesn't look like Russia launched a nuke. It doesn't look like they did anything. Only thing possible that it could have been, in Matt's opinion, because of all of the crap that's burning and falling down, would have been some sort of a munitions depot. That would have actually accounted for the shockwave and all that other stuff. We've seen some massive munitions depots get schwacked over inside Russia, causing massive shockwaves, breaking glass miles away. So it's a very real thing that it could actually have happened. And I've seen some massive munitions depots getting smacked over inside of Ukraine this last year. So it is possible that that is the type of stuff that was taking place. Why is this on here? What the hell? This is what I wanted to be looking at, I guess. So I told you guys about Beirut, and I told you that the Israelis ended up attacking Beirut today. This is what appears to be the aftermath of the strike, allegedly. Again, this took place over inside of Dahia. Right, that would have been the Hezbollah stronghold. Also, the other big issue that we have with this, again, not knowing what the intended target was, it could be that there is members of the IRGC that are present. We've also had members of the Iranian foreign minister that ended up getting wounded last year in the entire little beep scandal that Ukraine ended up setting off with all the different pagers. Yeah, for some reason, YouTube continues to attack this channel. If my mic is cutting out, it is the fault of the YouTube. Everything ends up going good up over on Twitter. I can see what it's pushing out over here. So I end up blaming that. Rhino comes in, becoming a true supporter. Good to have you on freaking board, Rhino. Yeah, if I go over and I check the Twitter feed, that's always streaming just fine. If I check it on my end, it appears to be streaming just fine. And it sounds perfectly beautiful over here, 5x5. So if you guys are having issues, the best that I can tell you to do is refresh your browser, and hopefully that ends up taking care of it. Peace through strength. Yeah, we are missing the strength part right now. And the issue is everything that's happening over here in the United States, we are not focusing on what is taking place overseas, particularly in places like this. This is another look at Beirut. And I've got an actual strike on Beirut coming up here in just a second. Rhino coming in and giving out 10 Speak the Truth memberships. Hell yeah, Rhino. Greatly appreciate you guys. Audio better sound good because I ended up getting that sucker nice and crisp. It sounds good on my end. So hopefully it sounds good for you guys. But this is Beirut. This is Beirut today. And again, this should have been that international news that everybody should have been watching. Meanwhile, we're listening to Donald Trump and we're listening to Elon Musk go back and forth. Rhino coming in, dropping another 20 Speak the Truth memberships. Man, I don't know how anybody is still gray in the chat tonight with all these freaking memberships that are getting dropped. This is just insane. Let's go ahead and check out this airstrike over inside Beirut. Thank you, Rhino. Greatly appreciate you, bud. Somebody just said poor grays. Is that what somebody said? Poor grays. Oh, the poor grays. They're so gray. Thank you for saying that. Distraction. Yeah, Angela. Hey, this is 100%. And unfortunately, I end up seeing crap like this take place all the time. Like maybe it was carefully orchestrated in between Trump and Elon to draw a bunch of attention away from everything else. Like maybe we are stacking up right now to go over and strike Iran. Because yesterday we did pull more aerial defense that was slated for Ukraine over into CENTCOM, over into the Middle East. Rhino, brother, dropping another fatty 20 Speak the Truth memberships. Holy freaking cow. There is no way y'all shouldn't be green at this point. Dear God, man. Holy cow. I can see my house from here. Yeah, no kidding. So that's what Israel ended up doing today. Still waiting on the intended target. Now, yesterday there was a massive airstrike over inside Khan Yunis, and I ended up getting word as well that there was, how do I want to say this? Not just the airstrike that ended up taking place over in Khan Yunis, but there was also a ground assault going over to target some other folks as well. Vitali says, hey, Matt, great to see you again. Just got on. Have you already gone over the Trump-Musk controversy? Yeah, brother, I 1,000% did. I spent easily the last hour going over the Trump-Musk controversy. It is a lot. Absolutely a buttload. So you're going to have to rewind the freaking stream and go back probably about, I don't know, you might as well go back to the beginning of it. You might as well fast forward about 2 to 3 minutes and just listen. To give you a quick recap right now, or to give you guys a quick recap over the Elon Musk portion of what ended up happening, Trump ended up coming out stating that Elon Musk was in favor of the big, beautiful bill. Doesn't appear that he was. He ended up saying that Elon knew it better than everybody else. Elon says that he never saw it. He never saw the big, beautiful bill. And that he took it a step further and then accused Trump of hiding the Epstein files because his name was inside of it, or suppressing them because his name was inside of it. Then Elon ends up presenting a bunch of information because Trump ended up coming out and saying that the only reason that Elon stated that is because he's pissed off about the EV cuts that would have been part of the big, beautiful bill. Problem is, for the last 4+ years, Elon's been speaking out about the EV tax credit, saying that they need to go away. So it's not that. So looking for motivation for Elon to do this, other than just his love of country, I think is a little bit crazy at this point. We ran a poll, ended up coming out with 60%-ish of the people inside of the chat actually believe that Elon was telling the truth. Right. So good on Israel slamming up over in Dahia. I think that that is a good call. It's a good sign that they're going to be taking care of all that stuff. Rob is a law enforcement officer now. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. If I haven't announced it yet, I want to let you guys know that Rob did successfully graduate from the Law Enforcement Academy, and he's been hired on an agency in Texas. That's a scary thought. Rob is officially a law enforcement officer, certified peace officer in the state of Texas. Congrats to Rob, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody give him a round of applause. Throw some claps down in the chat. Good stuff for Rob. Those of you, if you're brand new to this channel, you have no idea who he is. He actually started this channel, brought me in to co-host with him, and then he ended up taking his venture into law enforcement. I ended up taking over for him. So that's where Rob's been going. He's living literally, he's just got a dream to go over and do that. And a lot of people were trying to tell him it couldn't be done, and he did it. So congrats to Rob. That's a hell of an accomplishment. Believe it or not, the screening process for that is very difficult. And when I tell you that he was absolutely devoted to it and he's going to continue and he's going to make a great Leo, I thoroughly believe that. Is being a Leo worth it? For me, no. For Rob, maybe. But for me, no. He's not in my basement. He's not locked up in here. I don't have him chained and shackled. He's not inside the bunker. Rob's living his best life doing what Rob does. Officer Turkla. Yeah, how scary is that? Holy hell, man. I love that man to death. It's kind of cool to watch him grow, like over the years and everything that he's done. That man, for those of you that don't know, I've known him for about 20 years now. No, maybe 15 to 20. I mean, he's up there though. I've known him for quite a bit, since like 2008 or so. Hell of a man. Like I love Rob. So 17 years. I'm going to put it that way. Yeah. Great dude. I can't believe I've actually known him that long. It's weird how God like brings people into your life and you end up seeing other things that end up coming out of it, and you guys push and pull off of each other and you end up changing a lot of the different things for the good. So I kind of look forward to hearing everything he's got coming up in the future. Benjamin coming in, gifting out 5 Speak the Truth memberships. Greatly appreciate you, sir. Thank you very much for doing that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave it at that tonight. If something else bigger ends up coming out, I will make sure that I end up touching base on it. I don't think anything more big is going to come out. We need to keep an eye on Russia, and we need to keep an eye on Iran. And truthfully, we need to keep an eye on American troop movements over inside the Middle East, because all of the relations between the United States and Iran have completely and totally eroded, in case you've missed that. So we are literally on the brink of a world war. There is people that have assessed, and I've read, and I've said that might not necessarily be false, that the reason that we're stalling out on Iran is because Trump basically lost his balls and he got told that a strike on Iran is not going to be successful. And so he is trying to do this diplomatically before having to break out the actual big guns that I talked about. So it's a very big possibility. Vitali says, this is nuts. A house built on sand cannot stand. Reference to Trump's administration. Everyone, let's show support and get those likes sky high. Hell yeah, ladies and gentlemen. Get those likes up there, man. Keep supporting this channel because we're going to keep doing what we do, coming at you guys straight from the bunker, 9 a.m. and generally speaking, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Matt, thank you for tonight's report. Of course, man. Of course. I love doing what I do. I love doing this for you guys, and I'm not going anywhere. You guys are not wasting it when you come over here. I'm absolutely dedicated to this. I spend all day, every day from 5:30 a.m. until I go to bed at night researching and trying to figure out what the hell's actually going on so I can bring you guys honest to God's news so you don't have to go and scrape through everything with what's going on in the world and give you guys the best assessments as humanly possible, both on the home front and overseas. So if you guys are into that type of stuff, by all means, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Ladies and gentlemen, until I see you tomorrow morning, peace, love.